Chapter 81 Arrive at Sky Island. Wrong direction. Maybe. You're here at the right time, the next upwelling is 2 days away. Cricket gave Shajur-Ching the answer he wanted. 2 days. Do me a favor and strengthen my ship so that it can withstand the impact of the upwelling current. I will pay you the corresponding money, Shajur-Ching said to Cricket. Okay, Cricket readily agreed. In fact, even if Shajur-Ching didn't give money, Cricket didn't dare to refuse. Then it's up to you. After speaking, Shajur-Ching glanced at the sea and jumped in directly. Then, there was no sound. Cricket and his brother, both of whom looked like monkeys, couldn't help staring at each other at this scene. A person of ability suddenly jumps into the sea, isn't this self-defeating? In this regard, Cricket can only say that he does not understand the brain circuits of the strong. However, just after he finished saying this, a terrifying thunderlight and sword waves suddenly came from under the sea surface, which directly tore the sea into terrifying openings. The nearby sea area has completely become the domain of Shajur-Ching. Cricket glanced at the ferocity of the sea, swallowed, then got on top of Shajur-Ching's ship and began to reinforce the interior. As for the outside, let's wait for the thunder and lightning in the sea to stop. He didn't want to be killed by thunder in the sea. 2 days later. While all the pirates in Mock Town were watching, Shajur-Ching came up with a 100-meter sea king. Then, in just an hour, he only ate a bunch of skeletons. Then, riding the violent upwelling current, wrapped in supreme power, he ascended into the sky and disappeared. Is there really a sky island in the sky? Is it true that the legend of Going Bell is also true? Otherwise, how could a strong man like the Thunder Hunter practice it himself? The pirates of Mock Town thought so in their hearts. Apart from the ethereal legend of Sky Island and Going Bell, they couldn't think of anything else that would allow a powerhouse like Shajur-Ching to explore in person. After all, as a pirate, the thing that attracts them the most is definitely treasure. There's nothing wrong with them thinking that way, after all, that's what most people think. However, the main purpose of Shajur-Ching's visit this time was for Enel. Going Bell, that's only secondary. 10,000 meters above the sea, white sea. Bang! Suddenly, a pirate ship broke through the obstacles of the clouds and appeared in the Baybihai. Cough! As expected of the Baybihai that exists 10,000 meters above the sea, the air is so thin that it is despairing. A young man on the pirate ship was breathing heavily, his face was pale, and there was even some sweat on his forehead. This is Shajur-Ching who came to Sky Island. According to the information, this Sky Island is now being ruled by Enel, which is called the Kingdom of God, and its territory is divided into Angel Island and Apayado. Beyond Angel Island and Apayado, there is a vast and boundless sea, the Bye-Bye Sea where I am now, and there are all kinds of powerful beasts living in it. Among them, Angel Island is the residence of the native inhabitants of Sky Island. It is an island formed by Sky Island clouds, but there is no substantial soil. Start a pair of riding wheels, pirates, start with a pair of riding wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed. Chapter 82 1 billion entry fee. However, although the Sky Island cloud is a cloud, it can carry anything, no matter how heavy the object can be, and can also be made into building materials. In the thick clouds, there are also various minerals, energy, and water needed for life. Apayado is known as the sanctuary and island of the gods. It is the only island with soil and is the original part of Jaya Island where Mock Town is located. Here is where Enel, who rules Sky Island, and a group of priests live. Only people from the Kingdom of God can approach, and any civilians who approach will be punished by Enel's thunder and calamity. It's really a place with distinct levels. Shajur-Ching probably adjusted his breath, and slowly adapted to the harsh environment above the 10,000-meter altitude. It was at this time that Shajur-Ching suddenly felt that his ship was being controlled by something, and headed towards Angel Island in the distance without his control. Shajur-Ching immediately released observation hockey, only then did he know that it was a huge lobster carrying his own pirate ship. Where is this going? Shajirching was very curious. He doesn't have much memory of Sky Island in his previous life, he only remembers Enel and some other bits and pieces. He really didn't remember the big lobster that carried his pirate ship. But it doesn't matter, Shajirching takes it calmly, the soldiers will block it, the water will cover it, and the boat will naturally straighten when it reaches the bridge. But 3 minutes later, the lobster stopped. He stopped in front of a huge off-white gate, and in front of the gate was an old woman with a camera, looking at Shajirching with a treacherous expression. Blue Sea Outsider, my name is Amazon, you can call me Amazon Mother-in-law, I am the guardian of the gate of heaven. If you want to enter the realm of the kingdom of God, please pay the fee of 1 billion IK as an entry permit. Otherwise, you will be regarded as an illegal trespasser, punished by the priests, and even punished by the gods. This old woman was originally called Amazon, and he said with a businesslike appearance. Ike, the currency unit of Sky Island, 1 berry equals 10,000 IG. Oh, 1 billion IK, how much Bailey is that? Shajirching asked completely incomprehensible. 100,000 Bailey. Amazon's mother-in-law doesn't say much nonsense. That's too expensive, what if I refuse? Shajirching frowned, he didn't want to pay. Crack. Hearing Shajirching's words, Amazon's mother-in-law snapped a photo with the camera and said, then just wait for the crusade from the priest, Blue Sea Outsider, good luck. After that, the gate of the kingdom of heaven opened. Hee, then I'll wait. Goodbye, mother-in-law Amazon. Shajirching felt that the big lobster exerted its strength again, and his pirate ship was taken away directly. The other side. Mother-in-law Amazon sent a message, found the intruder, and is now being taken to Angel Island Harbor. To attack, you must seize it and hand it over to the Lord Enel of God for severe punishment. The majesty of the kingdom of God cannot be challenged provoked. Sanctuary, Apayado. Anyone, it's interesting, I don't know how long it will take you to come to me, I'm looking forward to it. A white man with a bare upper body, wearing bloomers, 2 big drums on his back, and long earlobes suddenly showed a smile, saying this. This man is the ruler of the kingdom of God, Enel of God, Guro Guro no Mi, Rumble Rumble Fruit capable. It is also Shajirching's goal this time. Start a pair of writing wheels, pirates, start with a pair of writing wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed. Chapter 83 Count you acquainted. Have you sensed me so quickly? As expected of a Guro Guro no Mi, Rumble Rumble Fruit, person and a master of observation hockey, the sensibility is quite terrifying. Enel sensed Shajirching. Shajirching also sensed his existence. However, if you know armament hockey and your fighting technique is stronger, then I really don't dare to recruit you now. Shajirching knew exactly how strong Enel was. Seriously, even a strong man like Moria would not be willing to confront Enel. Because Enel's frontal rigidity ability is too strong. It can be called destruction. But because of his poor fighting technique, too much reliance on fruit ability, and ignorance of the existence of armament hockey and seastone, it is easy to be restrained. It is also for this reason that Shajirching dared to come to Sky Island to recruit him. However, you still have to be careful, this guy's lightning intensity is too strong, completely surpassing me. Although I don't know if he has reached the horror level of 200 million volts when the plot begins and when he fights against Luffy. But now, it should have reached 100 million volts, my 20 million volts, I'm afraid I can only protect myself. If you want to defeat Enel and use it for your own use, you have to watch Swordsmanship and Illusion. The only person in this world who can be more terrifying than Shajirching's Thunderbolt is Enel. Guro Guro no Mi, Rumble Rumble Fruit, S ability is as terrifying as the Quake Fruit. The intruder is there, hurry up and surround him, you must not let him go. Just when Shajirching was thinking, a rush of shouting came over, interrupting his thinking. He saw a group of warriors dressed in the exact same clothes as Amazon's mother-in-law, rushing towards him. This is the crusade of the priest. Shouldn't it? The priest is so weak. Shajurching looked at the group of warriors rushing towards him and couldn't believe it. The force value of this group of people, the highest is 5. Although bullying some ordinary people, even some pirates with a bounty of hundreds of thousands, there is no problem. But it is also a priest anyway, so weak, is it a bit difficult to convince the public. However, he disembarked and secured the ship. After dealing with all this calmly, he was also surrounded by this group of people. Are you priests? Shajurching asked tentatively. HMPH, you're probably dreaming. To deal with an intruder like you don't need to bother the priests. It's enough to have us, the minions of the gods. The first man pointed at Shajurching with a weapon, and said coldly, I advise you not to try to resist, and obey us to accept the punishment. Otherwise, you will die miserably. Shajurching had no intention of listening to them at all, but he was attracted by this man's weapon. There was a slightly reddish shell on it, and Shajurching sensed some dangerous aura on it. I have never seen this kind of thing before. Is it a unique attack method of Sky Island? Shajurching thought so in his heart. At this moment, his arm was suddenly grabbed. He woke up immediately, only to realize that when he was thinking just now, this group of gods had already controlled him. If you are acquainted and have no resistance, let's go and accept the judgment of Lord Enel of God with us. Having said that, he is about to escort Shajurching to leave. Start a pair of writing wheels, pirates, start with a pair of writing wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed. Chapter 84 Fantastic Battle Shell. If I say I refuse to obey. With a flash of Shajurching's figure, he escaped from the siege of this group of gods. How dare you resist, brothers, come on, let him know the rules of our kingdom of God. Yes. All the members of the gods immediately responded, and they all pulled out the long swords around their waists, and took out a shell to equip on it. Song. As soon as he pressed it on the shell, a terrifying flame instantly enveloped the long sword. Turned into a flaming sword. Outsiders, wake up. These people rushed towards Shajurching with a loud shout. In an instant, 7 or 8 flaming swords tore through the air and stabbed at Shajurching. Shajurching immediately dodged to escape. But at this moment, Shajurching heard an air burst. The leader of the Ministry of God that I saw had actually appeared behind Shajurching. He grabbed a large white shell with thick padding in his palm, and shouted, "Shock shell." Shajurching felt a dangerous aura that burst out from the big shell. As expected of Sky Island, the fighting style is quite strange. Shajurching stepped on the thunderlight and dodged the blow. Ah! The members of the gods in front of Shajurching, who were seen, were instantly vomited by a force that made the air blurred, and they flew away. The power is really strong. Is this kind of thing called a shock shell? It's really refreshing. Shajurching lifted his foot and a sword wave came out, flying towards the only leader of the Ministry of God who was still standing. In the face of this sword wave, this person did not dodge, but once again took out a large screwed shell that opened up, and stood in front of him. Then, a miraculous thing happened, that Jongo was actually absorbed by this big shell. Although the man was also pushed back several dozen meters. But Shajurching's eyes lit up. This is simply black technology. He seemed to see a business opportunity. Outlander, this is called slashing shellfish. No matter what kind of tricks you make, I can absorb it and return all of it to you. Seeing the surprise on Shajurching's face, this man couldn't help saying proudly. He, is that so? Shajurching dashed forward again and punched out, only to see the man take out the big shell that released the shock before, and collided with Shajurching. Bang! Shajurching felt that his powerful strength was absorbed all of a sudden, and a terrifying aura was exuded from the big shell. It's useless, Outlander, in front of our Sky Island battle shells, you can't have a chance of winning. The leader laughed complacently and stepped on his feet hard. The 2 silver-white shellfish equipped on his feet suddenly spurted a strong wind, causing him to rush in front of Shamuyang. With his right hand dipped in the scallop, he shouted, "Test the power of your own attack." Hey! The big shell opened, and a sword wave burst out, making Shajur-Ching's body tense, and immediately retreated. But the man came right after him again, punching out, and the silver-white big shell was equipped on his fist just now. "Shock shell!" the leader shouted violently. Immediately, a terrifying wave erupted and bullied Shajur-Ching in front of him at once. Facing this blow, Shajur-Ching dodged again. Yanbei! The leader actually took out another fiery red shell and released a terrifying flame. Seeing this, Shajur-Ching frowned again, very surprised, and then dodged away again. Start a pair of writing wheels, pirates, start with a pair of writing wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed. Chapter 85 I'm just kidding, don't take it seriously. Breakout. Yanbei. The billowing flames were blown by the wind and instantly became a prairie, completely covering Shajur-Ching. Ha ha ha, outsider, you know how amazing it is. Seeing this person laughed proudly. Not bad, the power is really good, there are quite a lot of good things in your Sky Island. At this moment, Shajur-Ching's voice came from behind him. What? The man couldn't help being startled, and hurriedly looked behind him. But he saw Shajur-Ching standing unscathed, his face full of praise. A little skill, come again. This man took a heavy step again, and the big shell under his feet burst out with a strong wind, allowing him to gain super fast speed. Immediately, he used all kinds of shellfish flexibly again, thinking that Shajur-Ching was pressing away step by step, so that Shajur-Ching completely lost any resistance, power for a while. And Shajur-Ching was also in this battle, and probably figured out the details of the leader and the role of various shellfish. Shock shell, absorb and release shock. Yanbei, release the flame. Hot shell, release the heat. Spray the wind shell, release the super wind pressure. Slash the shell, absorb and release the slash. And after figuring out the details, Shajur-Ching has no idea of continuing to play. It was at this time that the leader once again deceived himself. The moment he used Yanbei to release flames to force Shajur-Ching back, he teleported to Shajur-Ching with the wind-spraying shell under his feet, and shouted, "Shock shell, admit defeat to me." "Oh, is it? Where did you get so much confidence?" Shajur-Ching laughed suddenly, his eyes moved, and Vivi, the three-hook jade writing wheel eye, spun, and he said, "Illusion. Gold binding." This person's body suddenly stopped, unable to move. He looked at Shajur-Ching in amazement, completely ignoring how Shajur-Ching suddenly became so powerful. "Just to play with you just now, don't take it seriously. I just want to see how many attacks you have. I really want to clean up you, it's too easy." Shajur-Ching found those big shells from him, and then, very kindly, put him and all the other members of the gods to the ground and tied them up. These fighting shells look no different from ordinary scallops, but they have so many incredible abilities. Hee, this is a business opportunity. Shajur-Ching played with these scallops, and with a flash of lightning, he disappeared in place. And after Shajur-Ching left, the residents of Angel Island who had been watching Shajur-Ching's battle secretly just now walked out slowly. To dare to rebel against the tribe of the gods, what an innocent descendant of the ignorant. I am afraid that I will be given death by Enel of God later. No one can resist the majesty of God. An old man looked at the direction where Shajur-Ching was leaving and sighed. In their minds, Enel is invincible, he is God, the true God. Sanctuary, shrine. This outsider is a bit interesting. 4 priests, go and bring him back to me. I really want to see how much power he has in trying to provocate the majesty of God. Enel said to the lazy order in the shrine. Yes, Lord Enel of God, I'll catch you right away. The 4 people I saw were different in height and shortness, and the fat and thin people responded and left. The 4 priests are the 4 strongest warriors under Enel, have different territories and different abilities. Known by the residents of Angel Island as a warrior with demonic power, he is deeply afraid. Start a pair of writing wheels, pirates, start with a pair of writing wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed. Chapter 86 Priest's Sniper. Some island parallel to Angel Island. A certain bearded old man in a knight's uniform, Vivi, opened his eyes and whispered, "Outsider, how far can you get under the sniper of the warriors of the kingdom of God? It would be best if you could defeat the Enel of the gods, so that I could regain the Sky Island and restore the peace I once was." The old man's name is Ganfer, and he is a god on Sky Island. But a few years ago, he was defeated by Enel and exiled to this island without any food. However, relying on his own wisdom, he changed the island, became self-sufficient, and survived to this day. Another corner area of Angel Island. Is there another outsider? Just right, this is the time for our Shandia warriors to attack and recapture EPUB. A sturdy man carrying a fire-breathing cannon, all brown, with only animal skins and leaves around his waist, his eyes are full of excitement. His name is Weber, a native of EPUB Island, a descendant of the Shandia family. They originally lived in the Blue Sea, but were isolated from the world because EPUB Island was swept over the Sky Island by the updraft. Not only that, but their place of residence, EPUB Island, was also targeted by the natives of Sky Island, who lacked soil. So much so that they were expelled by the gods of Sky Island with the tribe of gods because of their lack of numbers. But they never gave up to take back EPUB, even if the god of Sky Island later became Enel, they kept fighting. Now, after learning of the invasion of Shajur-Ching, Weber saw the hope of retaking EPUB Island again, so he thought of leading the tribe to retake EPUB Island again. "Go ahead, we're all for you, Web." At this time, a female voice came from behind Weber, and a woman in a sky blue dress with small wings on her back and a cold and arrogant face came over. "Yes, we all support you." The nearby Shandia people all expressed their support. "Okay, then I'll go check the situation first, and if I'm sure, I'll send you a message right away." When Weber saw that his people were willing to believe in him, he felt more motivated. "I'm leaving." After speaking, he carried the fire-breathing gun and set off. The forces in the Kingdom of God, because of the arrival of Shajur-Ching, have begun to move around and create a new round of situations. Shajur-Ching stopped at a place called the Trial of Iron. Not because he was afraid, but because the road ahead of him was blocked. This is a sturdy, bald middle-aged man with sunglasses, a fish scale tattoo on his left arm, a long gray-white knife, and a big dog. "You, Enel sent me here." Shajur-Ching looked at this person and said calmly. "The force value is 40. Very good. I am Om, the empty animal herdsman, one of the 4 priests, in charge of this iron trial ground. Intruder of the Blue Sea, your path ends here." The bald man introduced himself. "As the priest's crusade, finally let me wait. In that case, let's start. I hope you can be more durable, otherwise, it will be in vain. I am so looking forward to it." After speaking, Shajur-Ching used shave and disappeared in place. And Shajur-Ching, who suddenly disappeared from Omjian, couldn't help but startled. Start a pair of writing wheels, pirates, start with a pair of writing wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed. Chapter 87 Really Vulnerable. "What a fast speed," he said in such a frightened voice. The observation hockey opened, and he detected the figure of Shajur-Ching who appeared behind him. "Do you think a sneak attack from behind will be useful? You are delusional." Om shouted, drew his sword and slashed away. What a quick response. If I didn't feel wrong just now, this guy seems to exude the breath of observation hockey. Shajur-Ching looked at the slashing sword and thought so in her heart. She also drew the sword and slashed. Boom. The 2 swords confronted each other like this, but Om's face changed instantly. When he saw him, he hummed, his body trembled suddenly, and the giant dog under him was blasted back more than 10 meters away. What a powerful force, how is it possible? Om looked at his trembling right arm in horror, inexplicable shock in his heart. "Where are you looking, Priest Om?" At this moment, Shajurching's voice came again, and Om couldn't help being surprised, only to find that Shajurching had appeared in front of him. Bang! There was another shudder in the air, the sound of gold and iron exploded, and Om and the giant dog under his feet slammed back again for a long distance. Hey! Shajurching lifted the knife and another sword wave shot out. Damn, stop being arrogant, Iron Dyke. Om waved the long sword in his hand, and the long sword he saw suddenly grew longer and bigger, blocking him. Bang! Shajurching's slash slammed on the embankment, but it did not break it, but only forced Om back a little distance. This suddenly made Shajurching more interested in him. Intruder, it's my turn next, let you know how good I am. Om's arm trembled, and the long sword, which was like a dike just now, was extended and charged like a long spear the next moment. What an amazing sword, is this eating a devil fruit? Shajurching split it open with a sword. No, there is no aura of devil fruit ability, could it be the black technology of this sky island again? Sure enough, I have some strength, but don't think I only have so much strength. Seeing that his attack was casually knocked off by Shajurching, Om couldn't help but shudder. Use any other tricks, let me see the strength of the priest. Shajurching once again split a sword wave and blasted away. Damn, it's this trick again. In the face of this blazing sword wave, Om couldn't help but gritted his teeth and scolded, and quickly drove the giant dog under his feet to dodge. Hide, where can you hide? But before the giant dog stopped, Shajurching appeared in front of him. With one punch, there was a roar of wind and thunder, so that he had no time to react, and was blasted out heavily. PFF'd. Om just felt as if he had been hit by a mountain. This terrifying force made him feel a little awake when he directly hit him. He didn't know how many boulders he smashed along the way, and finally crashed into a broken building, and he couldn't even pick up a knife. Damn, I just lost like this. Om gritted his teeth, extremely unwilling. Shajurching is here. Did you push too hard when you were too excited? As soon as Shajurching sensed it with observation hockey, he sensed Om, who was paralyzed on the ground and couldn't even hold a knife, so he couldn't help saying embarrassingly. Start a pair of writing wheels, pirates, start with a pair of writing wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed. Chapter 88 War Ghost Weber. Oh, forget it, let's see what surprises Enel can give me. Also, I'm really curious about the sword in his hand. I must take it and study it carefully. Shajurching rushed towards Om without even looking at the giant dog. That giant dog didn't dare to attack Shajurching at all. And the members of the Ministry of God, who were watching from a distance, couldn't help but swallow their saliva. Master O was defeated so easily, how strong is this invader? Is what we just saw really true? How can we accept this kind of thing? They originally thought that it was not a simple matter for Om to clean up Shajurching, and they were all waiting to see Om crushing Shajurching. But the result was completely beyond their expectations. O was actually killed by Shajurching. You know, the four priests are the strongest in the entire kingdom of God except Enel, and they are the idols they most admire. But just now, this idol was defeated by Shajurching with one punch under their gaze. They are totally messy. However, they still knew the importance, and after a short period of stunt, they quickly passed the news to the other three priests, so that the other priests would not underestimate the enemy. And just when Shajurching defeated Om, another place was a trial. This is a place that claims to have a 3% survival rate, and is in charge of Shira, one of the four priests. Weber, known as the Ghost of War, is in a fierce battle with Shira. I didn't expect you, a lingering person, to be here, it's amazing. Shira is a man with a mustache, dressed like a modern pilot, and his weapon is a long gun. HMPH, how could I not take advantage of such a good opportunity? Shira, enlighten me. Weber drank violently, and was not displeased by Shira calling him a lingering life. I'm really curious, where did you get the confidence that you could beat me to get through here? I would like to ask you to take back the island of Apahado. It's so funny. Even a mere ant dares to provocate the dignity of God. Shira said disdainfully, and after speaking, he quickly stabbed at Weber with a spear. This wasn't over yet. When Weber stepped back, he suddenly burst into flames from the gun, approaching Weber in an instant. Weber's pupils shrank, but as the owner of the title of Ghost of War, he never panicked, and a silver-white threaded big shell appeared in the palm of his hand. That's a shock shell. Boom. Terrifying fluctuations erupted, the flames were scattered, and Shira couldn't help but stunned and hurriedly avoided. How could Weber let go of such a good opportunity, and rushed up immediately. The skills of their Shandia clan are only now beginning to show. On the other side, Shajurching is here. This sword is actually made of clouds. It's amazing. There is such a strange thing in this world. Shajurching was playing with Ohm's long sword, only to realize that it was actually a cloud sword. However, the cloud that constitutes this sword is quite hard. When he thought that the barrier made by this cloud could even fight against his own slash, Shajurching became even more interested in other special products of this sky island. And just when Shajurching was very happy to go to Apahado Island, the smile on the corner of Enel's mouth, who felt all this on Apahado Island, became even stronger. Start a pair of writing wheels, pirates, start with a pair of writing wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed. Chapter 89. No surprises to speak of. To be able to easily defeat my priest, it seems that this time the intruder has some strength. However, you will eventually be judged by the gods. God is invincible. Enel has absolute confidence in his own strength. He is now waiting for a divine punishment for Shajurching. Hey, I wonder how much divine punishment you can endure. Enel is looking forward to it. The thing he likes to do the most in his life is to blast people with thunder and lightning, which makes him very fulfilled. Back to Shajurching again. He stopped again. Because there was a chubby man standing in front of him. Shajurching also noticed that the sign next to it had the words, Trial of the Swamp, written on it. Intruder, I am the priest in charge of 50% of the survival rate, the captain of the Air Guard, Guy Daz. No matter how lucky you are to pass the previous level, but here, your doom is here. Guy Daz seems to be born with a smiley face, like a fool. Looking at him, Shajurching couldn't help raising his eyebrows and provocatively said, Then come on, Lord Priest, let me see what is the difference between you and Ohm. Don't be beaten by me in a few seconds. Down. You bastard, you look down on me so much, then you will take good care of me. Seeing that Shajurching didn't take him seriously at all, Galaz was furious. I saw a strong wind suddenly generated under his feet, and rushed him over. Taste this uncle's fist. A terrifying wind suddenly erupted from his arm, making his fist suddenly become extremely fast. Don't think about it, the power has also increased. Seeing the fist in front of him, Shajurching was only a little surprised, and then he lost interest. It's a really good idea to use the jets to speed up and increase your strength. But it's just not bad. Compared to the leader of the Ministry of God that he met for the first time, as well as Ohm's cloud sword, the surprise that Galaz gave him was too small. His violent punch slammed out directly, chakra was boiling, thunder and lightning swam on his arm, the fist was splendid, and there was a booming sound. Boom. As a result, there is no need to think about it. Galaz screamed and was blasted away. If you only have such a little strength, then I'm really embarrassed. Your doomsday may really come. Shajurching appeared in front of Garaz like a shadow, and the cold light flickered, and stabbed directly at Garaz's heart. I'm a priest, don't think you can beat me so easily, shock shell. He opened his left hand, and there was a shock shell on it. Boom. The long sword and the shock shell faced each other, but Galaz's eyes suddenly widened, and he looked at his chest in disbelief. Shamuyang held the fire in his hand, almost ignoring the impact of the shock shell, and pierced his chest. Although it didn't hurt the vital part, the blood quickly stained his chest. Ah! He couldn't help but let out a scream, and didn't dare to neglect. Before Shajurching had time to attack the next one, he used the wind-spraying shell to break free and stay away from Shajurching. Escape, where can you go? Shajurching stepped on the moon step and chased after him. Garaz's pupils shrank when he saw it, and exclaimed, "How on earth did you do that? You can walk in the air without using any battle shells." An LT, P and GT. Gallus feels like his world has been turned upside down. Start a pair of writing wheels, pirates, start with a pair of writing wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed. Chapter 90 Roll all the way. HMPH, what's the matter? This is just a corner of iceberg in blue sea, and only people like you who are isolated from the world all the year round will be surprised. When Shajurching kicked, a blade-shaped air wave flew out. Gallus only felt that the pores were shrinking, and he hurriedly dodged again. However, when he looked at Shajurching again, Shajurching was gone. Where? He couldn't help panicking, and hurriedly used his last trick, Yunbei. This is a battle shell that can create a swamp cloud. Swamp cloud, as the name suggests, is like a swamp. Once it sinks, it will sink deeper and deeper. Only he who is equipped with the spray shell can break free. Moreover, he will also place gunpowder in this swamp cloud and make a trigger mechanism to turn the swamp cloud into huge bombs. Hey! Shajurching suddenly appeared in the sky above him and stabbed with a sword. Seeing this, Garaz's eyes suddenly flashed a ferocious look. "Go to hell, you bastard." With a wave of his arm, 4 or 5 spherical swamp clouds wrapped in gunpowder flew over. Boom! When Shajurching's long sword pierced a spherical swamp cloud, the rest of the swamp cloud exploded in an instant, engulfing Shajurching. "Die, outsider, you know how powerful your Garaz is." Saying that, Garaz swung his fist forward, activated the wind-spraying shell, and moved the strong wind to blow out the smoke from the explosion. But the moment the smoke was blown away, he couldn't help his scalp go numb. Because there is no trace of Shajurching in a radius of several hundred meters. He couldn't help looking around quickly, and at the moment when he looked behind him, he saw a pair of eyes full of playfulness. "You." Just as Gallus was about to attack, his throat was caught. "After fighting with you for so long, only this move just now is a bit interesting, but your strength is still too rubbish." As Shajurching spoke, there was a thunderbolt in his hand. Gallus's eyes widened suddenly, with shock and fear. He wanted to struggle, but how could he break free? "Don't worry, it's just a matter of a while, you won't feel anything." Shajurching smiled like a devil, and in the panic of Gallus, the lightning instantly paralyzed everything in him. "Enel, wait for me." Throwing Gallus out, a battle shell appeared in Shajurching's hand. "It's the cloud shell on Gallus." Shajurching played with the swamp cloud made by this cloud shell and continued going. It wasn't until Shajurching left for nearly a few minutes that the members of the Ministry of God appeared here. Looking at Gallus, who looked like a scorched corpse, he couldn't help but sighed and said, "Lord Garaz was defeated so quickly, that guy, can only Lord Enel be able to resist." An LT, P and GT. The other side. "Bastard, Lord Shira, will lose to you, it's really unwilling." Shira, who was so arrogant before, is now covered in blood and his robes are torn. He looked at Weber and said very unwillingly, "I am the war ghost Weber, is it not normal to defeat you?" For his defeat of Shira, Weber did not show any pride, and some just took it for granted. After he finished speaking, he carried the fire-breathing cannon, continued going, and headed towards Apayado, who was suspended on Angel Island in front. Start a pair of writing wheels, pirates, start with a pair of writing wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed. Chapter 91 Enel is coming. Sanctuary, Apayado Island. These two little bugs are a bit interesting. If that's the case, then I'll play with you. I hope you can be more playable, otherwise, I'm looking forward to you so much in vain. Enel chewed an apple, lingered with thunder and lightning, and jumped directly off Appayado Island with bare feet and a faint shimmer. At this moment, let alone, Enel is really a bit like a god. And Shajur-Ching, who was heading towards Enel, immediately sensed this. Oh, Enel actually dispatched himself. Do you think his subordinates can't stop me? Shajur-Ching said in surprise, but suddenly, Vivi raised the corner of his mouth and said, since you are here, come out and hide. It's boring to hide, the warrior of the Shandia family, Your Excellency Weber. After about half a minute, Weber, who was wearing a bandage, walked out of the forest behind Shajur-Ching. He looked at Shajur-Ching vigilantly and said, you are the outsider from Blue Sea. What are you here for? If you want to occupy Appayado, then I won't let you succeed. Appayado Island belongs to our Shandia clan. Hearing this, Shajur-Ching immediately laughed. Your Excellency Weber, you are so naive. I don't want to say anything more to you. The weak will eat the strong. Who will this island belong to? Let's talk with strength. The reason why Shajur-Ching was able to recognize Weber with such certainty was because he was one of the few people who had an impression of the Sky Island chapter. So, you are going to be the enemy of my Shandia family. Hearing Shajur-Ching's answer, Weber's eyes suddenly turned bad. Hee, needless to say, you are so arrogant. Let's get through the disaster before us first. Shajur-Ching ignored Weber's threat. In his eyes, Weber's strength was just to give him food. Weber's force value is only 45. Although it is said that in addition to Enel on the empty list, there are not many people stronger than him. But facing Shajur-Ching, Weber is still far behind. At this time, a powerful aura descended behind the two of them. Since both of you have attacked my priests and defeated them, I now officially grant you the chance to fight against the gods. You two, use all your strength and let me have a good time. Enel looked at the two, as if looking at two toys, and said. Enel, I finally see you. It's not easy. Compared to Weber's tense body instantly, Shajur-Ching's performance was very calm. In fact, he has also been alert with all his attention. After all, his opponent is Enel, and he is an opponent worthy of his all-out efforts. But when Shajur-Ching looked at Enel's force value, he found a very interesting thing. Force value, 240 to 320. Shajur-Ching has never seen such a value. Does this mean that Enel's force value is in between? But when he looked at the explanation below the force value, he understood what was going on. 240, which is Enel's current force value. And that 320 is his potential force value. Once he learns armament hockey, and the fighting technique, Guro Guro no Mi, Rumble Rumble Fruit, will be able to achieve this effect. Start a pair of writing wheels, pirates, start with a pair of writing wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed. Chapter 92 Elementalized. Looking at this explanation, Shajur-Ching couldn't help swallowing. Enel is really too powerful. Learn armament hockey, learn fighting technique, your strength can soar so much in an instant. Shajur-Ching just wanted to say, she was extremely envious. Of course, Shajur-Ching also understood why. Because now Enel is like a child with a peerless sword, but he has not learned any swordsmanship yet, he is just fighting by instinct. In terms of accuracy, control, and response coordination, it is still relatively stiff, and it cannot exert the true power of the sword. Learning armament hockey and fighting technique is equivalent to letting him learn a set of swordsmanship. At that time, all these problems have been solved, and naturally he will be able to exert his true strength. The gap between Marco and Marco is not very big. Enel is really a baby. Marco's force value is 514, the strongest emperor's deputy. Come on, Enel, enlighten me. Weber carried the cannon, and rushed towards Enel with the gust of wind. While rushing towards Enel, Webb suddenly fired a cannon into the sky. Seeing this, Enel said contemptuously, "Why, do you want to invite friends and companions to come and die? That's right, it will make me happier." Seeing Weber rushing up so recklessly, Shajur-Ching couldn't help sighing in his heart. Weber's actions are really like what Enel said, go to death. No matter how strong his attack power is, it will have no effect in the face of Enel's elementalization. Can't attack Enel's entity at all. Shajirqing used her toes to know what the final outcome of Weber would be like. As expected, Weber suddenly exclaimed, "How is it possible?" Shajirqing looked at it, and sure enough, Weber's attack was completely immune to Enel. The elemental body is full of big holes, but Enel was completely unharmed. Between the lightning flashes, his body was recovering rapidly. Not only that, Enel also stretched out his hand and pointed at Weber, and a terrifying thunderbolt shot out, God's punishment. The directly forced Weber hurriedly dodged, but was still rubbed in the body, and screamed in an instant. Ah! Enel's lightning starts at 20 million volts. Even if this kind of terrifying lightning strikes a little bit, not to mention that ordinary people will instantly turn into ashes. Even with his body as strong as Weber, he also smelled of burnt stench in an instant. Watching Weber tremblingly wanted to get up, but couldn't do it at all. Shajirqing couldn't help but sighed again and said, "You step back, you will not be his opponent, his strength has far exceeded your imagination. It's a good thing to have courage and dreams, but if you can't see the gap between the enemy and yourself and keep fighting recklessly, you're stupid, you're just like a fool." After speaking, regardless of whether Weber listened or not, Shajirqing blocked Weber and Enel and said, "Enel, come on, from now on, I will be your opponent." Because it was on Sky Island, Shajirqing didn't need to hide anything. The three-goose jade writing wheel eye, which was about to evolve into a kaleidoscope writing wheel eye, turned quickly. In order to deal with Enel, he even developed a new trick, mental shock. Start a pair of writing wheels, pirates, start with a pair of writing wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed. Chapter 93 You Can't Hurt God. One trick is illusion, but it is different from illusion, and even a trick that is only related to illusion. Oh, you come to be my opponent, it's interesting and interesting, then I hope you can perform a little better than him, don't be me. Before the words were finished, Enel appeared in front of Shajirqing with a flash of lightning, his right arm turned into lightning, and he punched out, "One blow and you're done." Bang! Enel didn't see how Shajirqing attacked at all, and his attack was blocked by Shajirqing. "Enel, do you know what I'm here at Sky Island for? I'm not here for fun." Natsumi Yang resisted the strong power of Enel, armament hockey covered half of his arm, and said with ease. "Oh, so what are you here for? Are you here for the going above? Blue sea monkeys?" Enel said in a leisurely manner. A thunderbolt with a thick arm flew out from his left arm, and hit Shajirqing in an instant. Shajirqing has no resistance at all. But before Enel was happy, he saw that Shajirqing seemed to be completely unaffected, and he kicked him heavily when he lifted his foot. "HMPH, give it up, it's impossible for you to attack God." PFF'd. Before Enel finished speaking, his eyes suddenly widened, and he spat out a mouthful of blood and was kicked out. "How is that possible?" Enel shouted in disbelief, and then, he was extremely angry. You know, he calls himself a god because no one can attack his entity. In Enel's view, only God can have this kind of power. But now, Shajirqing broke this myth. This is absolutely inexcusable. Bastard, you have offended the gods. Unforgivable. Give me death, monkeys from the blue sea. Enel was furious like never before, and he was surrounded by terrifying thunder and lightning, so he shouted, "God's punishment." A thunder and lightning with a thick arm quickly tore open the air and arrived in front of Shajirqing. According to Enel's thoughts, Shajirqing would definitely not be able to react, and was blasted away by this blow. But the real situation is that Shajirqing disappeared in a swish before the thunder and lightning arrived. Shajirqing, surrounded by thunder and lightning, appeared in front of Enel and shouted, "Mental shock." An imposing impact like conqueror hockey erupted, causing Enel's movements to be stagnant. "Enel, you lost." Shajur-Ching rushed forward and took out a pair of sea-stone chains from her body, about to handcuff Enel. But at this moment, Enel, who I saw, has recovered and completely got rid of the influence of the mental shock. He beat the big drum on his left shoulder and released a big dragon. Ah! Shajur-Ching couldn't help but be startled, and said in his heart, how can he regain his senses so quickly? As expected of Enel, he immediately formed a substitute technique and disappeared in place. In the next instant, his stand-in wood was ferociously crushed by Thunder Dragon into ashes. Monkey from Blue Sea, I'm a god, you want to beat me, you dream. But it doesn't matter now, anyway, you're already dead, the 60 million volt Thunder Dragon will definitely make you shattered. Enel laughed complacently, like a winner. Start a pair of writing wheels, pirates, start with a pair of writing wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed. Chapter 94 have the ability to fight again. Break to pieces. Enel, do you think I'm that easy to beat? Shajur-Ching's voice suddenly sounded from behind Enel. Enel couldn't help but startled. Just when he was about to attack, he heard Shajur-Ching shout, mental shock. Different from the previous reservations, to test the power, Shajur-Ching did not have any reservations this time, and went all out. Enel groaned in pain immediately, and he shouted badly in his heart, so he wanted to avoid it. Do you think I'll let you succeed, Enel? Shajur-Ching's voice was like a maggot with bones, which made Enel get goosebumps all over. Before he could react, he suddenly felt a strong sense of weakness, and all his powerful strength was deprived of him. How is it possible? How did you do it? Seeing the gray handcuffs on his right hand, Enel, whose eyes were clear again, shouted in disbelief. This is called sea-stone. It's specially used to restrain a god like you. How about you, Enel? Don't be convinced. Shajur-Ching asked condescendingly. I'm not convinced. Let me go if you have the ability. Let's come again. If you can beat me again, I'll be convinced. Enel was not convinced and asked to fight again. Okay, no problem. Shajur-Ching readily agreed. Enel, do you know why I came to Sky Island? Shajur-Ching asked suddenly. Why, isn't it for going? Enel asked of course. Going is only secondary, my main purpose is for you. Seeing Shajur-Ching pointing at himself, Enel was obviously a little surprised, and said, for me, do you want to recruit me? Enel immediately understood. Not bad. Shajur-Ching nodded affirmatively. Great, you're the first person to think that way. Come on, let me go, let's fight again, this time if you can beat me, I'll give you up. Enel's arrogant issue, if he wants a proud person like him to surrender to a person, he has to be subdued. Okay, no problem, but you can't fight here, this Angel Island can't bear the aftermath of our battle, go to EPUB Island. Shajur-Ching didn't give Enel a chance to choose at all, so he directly carried him and rushed to EPUB Island. This guy defeated God Enel, he was so powerful. Seeing Shajur-Ching leaving, Weber lay on the ground and said in shock. Sanctuary, EPUB Island. You can untie me, Blue Sea. Enel said with a gloomy expression. Hee, let's get started, Lord Enel. Shajur-Ching untied the sea-stone handcuffs on Enel's hands, then stepped back and made a look to Enel asking for advice. This guy is going to fight the god Enel, where does he get the confidence? PFF'd, let him find his own way, we can just watch a good show anyway. The members of the Ministry of God who heard the news looked at Shajur-Ching and said with disdain. In their minds, Enel is the absolute god, and Shajur-Ching's move is tantamount to courting death. He has no chance of winning at all. Monkey of the Blue Sea, I'll make you regret it. Enel stepped back as soon as he resumed action, then beat the big drum on his right shoulder and shouted, Die, 20 million volts. Thunderbird. Start a pair of writing wheels, pirates, start with a pair of writing wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed. Chapter 95 Do you also have the power of God? I saw a phantom like Thunderbird, wrapped in a manic aura and tearing power, and slammed into Shajur-Ching. If you have the ability, stop and try it out, Blue Sea people. Enel shouted proudly. Lay done. Angry Thunder Tiger. In the face of Lehu who was in front of him at this moment, Shajur-Ching did not dare to neglect, and immediately released his full force to fight off. Not only that, he was also wrapped in the lightning strike armor, and the lightning that exploded later would be unimaginably terrifying. Boom. Thunder tigers, thunderbirds collide, the air folds. Then, the two were indistinguishable, exploded at the same time, mixed into a world-destroying thunder and punishment, and raged around. In the face of this thunder and lightning, Enel turned into thunder and lightning, calm and composed. Shajur-Ching is protected by lightning armor, although he is also hit, but at least it has little impact. However, those members of the Ministry of God couldn't help but change their color instantly. They didn't expect that Shajur-Ching would be able to stop Enel. If you want to escape again, it is too late, and you are completely submerged in the Sea of Thunder. This thunder and lightning swept a radius of nearly 1 kilometer, and everything was torn apart. The earth even exploded a tiunking. How terrifying. Ahem, worthy of being the god of Sky Island, the owner of the ability of Guro Guro no Mi, Rumble Rumble Fruit 20 million volts is really powerful. Shajur-Ching appeared from the dust curtain, and his body was roaming with thunder and lightning. His face was a little pale, and he felt a little too exhausted. You actually have the power of a god, are you also a god? Enel looked at Shajur-Ching with a gloomy expression, even full of murderous intent. Shajur-Ching has the same ability, which makes him feel threatened by calling himself a god. I'm not a god, I just happen to have this ability. Of course, you're not a god either. Shajur-Ching explained very kindly after hearing the words. Your ability comes from the devil fruit, which is a magical fruit that contains various abilities. It exists in every corner of the world, waiting for someone to discover it. And the fruit you get, it's called Guro Guro no Mi, Rumble Rumble Fruit, it contains the power of endless thunder and lightning. And the reason why I also have the power of thunder and lightning is because I have also obtained a baby with thunder and lightning. After listening to Shajur-Ching's explanation, Enel couldn't help squinting, and Isho said coldly, it turns out that it is very good. In order to thank you, I decided to give you death. As long as you are dead, I am the only god in this world. He was covered in thunder and lightning, beat the big drum on his left shoulder, and released that terrifying thunder dragon again. Monkey of the Blue Sea, I'll show you how wrong you were when you promised me another fight. Thunder Dragon broke through the air, and unimaginable terrifying power and breath burst out, suppressing everything. Stupid. In the face of the Thunder Dragon coming from this impact, Shajur-Ching did not choose to resist hard. A substitute technique evaded the past and appeared in front of Enel. What? Facing Shajur-Ching who appeared in front of him like a teleportation, Enel couldn't help being a little stunned. Illusion. Magic. The art of shackles. Without giving Enel the slightest bit of resistance, one of his strongest illusions went over. Enel's body suddenly stopped, but he reacted very quickly, and immediately covered his body with lightning and elementalized his body, trying to prevent Shajur-Ching from handcuffing him with sea stone. Start a pair of riding wheels, pirates, start with a pair of riding wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed. Chapter 96. If you don't agree, come again. Did you think this would be useful? Enel, I don't have more than sea stone to limit you. Seeing this, Shajur-Ching couldn't help but Isho. The armament hockey covered the flowing fire, and the sword intent was vertical and horizontal, and he slashed down. PFF'd. Enel felt a sudden pain in his chest, and he was extremely horrified. Why is he elementalized, and Shajur-Ching can still hurt him? Shajur-Ching obviously didn't use sea stone to restrain him. He obviously didn't reveal his body. Why could Shajur-Ching reach him? Couldn't his elementalization completely ignore any attack? And while he was so terrified, he was suddenly hit in the chest again and was kicked out. Bastard! Enel shouted angrily, but Shajur-Ching's voice sounded again. Enel, this time, you still lost. Crack! With a crisp closing sound, the familiar feeling of powerlessness once again took away Enel's power. "I'm not convinced, Enel," Shajur-Ching asked. "I'm not convinced. Come back if you have the ability." Enel be convinced. He didn't understand what was going on. He lost again. How could he be convinced? Master Enel was defeated without any resistance at all. How did this guy do it? How is this possible? All the members of the Ministry of the Gods were horrified and looked at Shajur-Ching in disbelief. "Come again." Shajur-Ching let go of Enel again. 100 million volts. Thor. Enel roared, transforming into a thunder giant with an energy body. "Spiritual shock," Shajur-Ching shouted violently. Enel suddenly felt a tear in his head, and his consciousness was dazed. Then, a strong sense of weakness struck again. This time, it turned out to be a chain with a thick arm that bound him into a zongzi. The ability was taken away, and Enel changed back to the prototype. "I'm not convinced. Come again." Enel growled again. "Then come again." Shajur-Ching is not false. "I don't agree." "Come again." "I don't agree." "Come again." Time, 30 minutes passed by Enel's beating. "I serve my clothes, don't fight again." Enel, who has a bruised nose and a swollen face, can no longer be convinced. "I thought you were still unconvinced. I'm still going to continue playing with you." Shajur-Ching took back the sea stone with a smile. "However, don't look at him so easily. This is because Enel is a special case. After all, he is the only one who is so powerful, yet so fragile in spirit. After all, anyone who knows hockey will not have such poor mental strength as him. Even if you don't know hockey, a strong man like Moria, who has developed murderous aura after years of fighting, is enough to compete. Even if you accidentally make a miscalculation, it will only happen once or twice. It is impossible to be defeated by mental shock so many times in a row. Now that you're done, you have to listen to me. Understand, Enel?" Shajur-Ching looked at Enel and said in a commanding tone. "Got it." Although a little unwilling, after being defeated by Shajur-Ching so many times, Enel also had a psychological shadow on Shajur-Ching, but he did not dare to refuse. "Go, Enel, take me to going." Shajur-Ching shouted and looked at Enel, who immediately understood and took Shajur-Ching to the place where the goings were stacked. And after Enel and the others left, all the people who were watching on the spot were all looking at the two who left in shock. Start a pair of writing wheels, pirates, start with a pair of writing wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed. Chapter 97 Dig a lot of going. Lord Enel of God has lost to a blue sea man again and again. This blue sea man can be so powerful, it's unbelievable. In their impression, the Enel of God is absolutely invincible, and they have never seen him lose to anyone. But today, Shajur-Ching taught them a good lesson. What is called strength? What is called someone outside the person? The hidden place of going. Here is a ruined town ruins, full of traces of the years. Here, there is a huge python. He originally wanted to attack Shajur-Ching, but he was honest after being electrocuted by Enel. I don't know how many goings there are on this sky island, there are some expectations. Shajur-Ching doesn't have much interest in these ruins, that's the job of archaeologists, and now he just wants to know how much the going on this sky island is worth. There is also the going bell, which is a rare souvenir. Hey, it must be quite cool to decorate the facade. If he remembers correctly, the going on this sky island is probably worth 4 or 5 billion. This is all money, money that can be used to strengthen the power. He began to explore. A little scratching. It was a piece of going. The golden light almost blinded Shajur-Ching's eyes. Shajur-Ching was like a miser, digging harder. However, if he is familiar with the plot, he will know that compared with the ones on the ground, there are actually more goings in the belly of that big python. Therefore, after digging so hard, in fact, it is better to enter the body of this python and bring out all those goings. Too bad he doesn't know. Otherwise, he will probably cry to death. After all, he just missed so many good things. After an hour. After digging for a long time, the going that Shajur-Ching finally got was only a few £1,000s. Enel, I remember you seem to have a going boat, do me a favor. Shajur-Ching looked at Enel and discussed with a smile. Okay, no problem. Seeing Shajur-Ching's smile, Enel shuddered and agreed immediately. Enel's private base, a certain cloud island. Not bad, such a big spirit boat. But can you really afford to transport several thousand caddies at a time? Shajur-Ching asked in disbelief. What's so difficult about it? Don't say a few thousand caddies, just tens of thousands of caddies. Enel was immediately upset. It seems that I really underestimate you, sorry. Since there is no problem, please help me transport the going to my base in Blue Sea. After Shajur-Ching finished speaking with a smile on his face, he appeared in front of going with a swish and started to carry. Looking at Shajur-Ching who was carrying going, Enel suddenly became depressed. He just thought that Shajur-Ching just let Enel help him Shajur-Ching transport going to Angel Island. Dare to be affectionate, Shajur-Ching asked him to help deliver it to the end, come to the door directly. Depressed, Shajur-Ching's order, Enel really did not dare to refuse. The next step is to transform this sky island. There are so many magical things here that need to be put to good use. Not to mention enhancing competitiveness, it can also bring more communication to Sky Island. It's just that the escort of this Sky Island needs to be strengthened. With my current strength, it is obvious that I can't suppress those real hooligans above the sea. Shajur-Ching began to plan the development plan of Sky Island. But how to deter those big men in the sea is a big problem. Start a pair of writing wheels, pirates, start with a pair of writing wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed. Chapter 98 Who should I promise? If it was in the past, then of course there is no problem. When the name of Whitebeard is mentioned, no one dares to covet it. But not now, Shajur-Ching didn't want to expose herself so soon. However, what troubles Shajur-Ching is that without exposing himself, it is difficult to deter those covetous guys on the sea. It seems that we still need to cultivate Enel's strength well. When his strength reaches his current strongest strength, he should be able to deter most of the pirates who are eyeing them. Shajur-Ching thought in his heart, of course, when Enel's strength increases, his strength will not fall. Wait, or defeat Moria and become Shichibukai, so that I can develop my own power through the deterrence of the world government. The more Shajur-Ching thought about it, the more he felt that this idea was good. With the help of Marine and the power of the world's official government, there should be few people who would reject it. Looks like I have another reason to fight Moria. Moria, don't blame me for staring at you, it's all logically directed at you. Shajur-Ching showed a very strange smile. Somewhere in the first half of the Great Route, Moria, who was working on the corpse, suddenly shuddered, feeling a little chill behind her back. This feeling is it my illusion? It always feels like someone is staring at me. Moria felt a little hairy in her heart. This feeling has not happened for a long time since the time she was chased and killed by Kaido. Who will stare at me? I'm looking forward to it. Moria is not a person who is afraid of things. It just so happens that if a strong man comes, he will find a way to kill him, and then make a powerful corpse to store the capital for him to challenge Kaido in the future. Angel Island. Shajur-Ching, who had just landed on Angel Island from Appayado Island, was stopped by an old man in armor. Looking at the old man in front of him, Shajur-Ching's mouth couldn't help but evoke a meaningful smile. The former god of Sky Island, Paladin Ganfer, I must have remembered your name correctly. Shamuyang looked at Ganfuer with a smile on his face and said, Your Excellency is really knowledgeable, but it is the old man, Ganfer Isho replied with a somewhat far-fetched smile. Then I don't know why your former god suddenly appeared in front of me, why? Shajur-Ching asked with a smile, clasping her hands on her chest. In his heart, he probably had some guesses. Therefore, he did not wait for Gonfure to answer. He said, "You don't want to say thank you for helping you defeat Enel, restore order to Sky Island, and allow you to be the god of Sky Island again. In the days to come, you will take care of Sky Island and things like that." Shajirching looked at Gonfure in this way, from a little embarrassed just now, to a stunned one now. Obviously, Shajirching guessed right. Ganfur wants to be the ruler of Sky Island again. And just when Ganfur was about to say something, a strong and powerful voice sounded, "Blue Sea people, quickly hand over the island of Apahado. Otherwise, our Sandia clan will carry out a protracted crusade against you, and will not die until the island of Apayado is recaptured from your hands." It's the war ghost Wayapa Weber. "Oh, one of you who wants to be the ruler of Sky Island again, and one of you who wants to take back Apayado from me. That's very interesting. So, who am I supposed to promise?" Shajirching looked at the two of them, and the smile on the corner of his mouth became even weirder. "Start a pair of writing wheels, pirates, start with a pair of writing wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed. Chapter 99 Show your sincerity." Not to mention, Shajirching's words really confused Gonfure and Weber. They looked at each other with hatred in their eyes. As two sides who have been fighting for so many years, before Enel occupied Sky Island, they had no less conflicts. Then, without a second thought, they replied, "Of course you promise me." And this result was exactly the same as Shajirching's conjecture. Both of them chose themselves. "Oh, you all chose yourselves, then give me a reason, why should I promise you?" The smile on the corner of Natsumi Yang's mouth became brighter and brighter. "I took this Sky Island back from Enel. Now you want to become the ruler of Sky Island or retake Apahado Island with a single word. Don't you think it's too easy? Do you really think there are good things in the world that fall from the sky? Or do you think I'm easy to bully? You think it's a matter of course to return Apayado?" Having said that, Shajirching narrowed his eyes and looked at Gonfure. "Or let you become the ruler of Sky Island again, it is a matter of course." Shajirching's eyes were very dangerous. At this moment, he is like a combination of a cunning fox and a ferocious tiger, making Gonfure and Weber shudder at the same time. However, this Sky Island was originally our territory, but it was occupied by Enel before, and now we want to return to our own territory. What's wrong? Ganfur tried his best to keep calm and asked. "Oh, your territory. Where did you get the confidence to tell me? Enel was defeated by me, and this Sky Island is a borderless land. You don't want to pay at all, you just want to take back Sky Island. You are a white wolf with empty hands, and it's natural to pretend to be a victim." Shajirching couldn't help laughing, with an extremely ironic and contemptuous smile. "If you lose something, you need to thank others for helping you find it again, let alone this Sky Island. Besides, this is the era of the great pirates, a world where the strong eat the weak. When I was occupied by Enel before, why didn't I hear you come out and tell Enel that this Sky Island should let you be the ruler?" Shajirching slammed close to Gonfure. His eyes were extremely cold, and his body was exuding thunder and lightning, and he said word by word, "You just think I am easy to bully, right?" Gonfure was so frightened by Shajirching's sudden indifference that his whole body shuddered, and he couldn't help swallowing. "If you want to take back Sky Island and become the ruler again, it's very simple, show your sincerity." Shajirching suddenly smiled brightly. "As long as your sincerity is enough to make my heart flutter, I think it's fine for you to become a ruler again." He looked at Weber again and said, "The same is true for you. If you are sincere enough, it's not that I can't promise you and return the island of Apahado." "Really?" Weber was overjoyed when he heard it. "What kind of sincerity do you want?" But Ganfur, who was much more sophisticated, asked with a frown. He didn't believe that Shajirching, who was extremely vicious just now, would suddenly find out with his conscience. This sincerity is absolutely extraordinary. Hee, it's not too much. Become my subordinate, help me manage Sky Island, and make this a base for me. Weber, it's the same for you. How? This standard of sincerity is not too much. Shajirching is full of smiles, a shrewd businessman. Start a pair of writing wheels. Pirates, start with a pair of writing wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed. Chapter 100 Impossible to promise. Impossible, I will never agree to your request. Weber refused without even thinking about it. Let him, the Shandia clan, become someone else's subordinate and help others to do things. Weber will never accept this kind of thing. Oh, you refuse. Then you have to think clearly. Once you refuse, Apahado Island has nothing to do with you. Don't blame me for being rude if you continue to be presumptuous in the days to come and say you want to take back the island of Apahado and launch an attack. Apahado Island is now my territory. You should know what it will be like to invade other people's territory at will in this world. When the time comes, don't force me to the point of never dying. Shajirching laughed and threatened, and at this moment, a group of Shandians suddenly appeared behind Weber. There were men and women, but they all held different weapons and exuded a fierce air. Enel, you bloody bastard, give us back our Apayado. Give us enlightenment and let you know how great we are. Several warriors of the Shandia clan who seemed to be relatively powerful and held different weapons, after seeing Enel, they all charged towards Enel with hatred on their faces. Among them, a man with a turkey head, wearing a pink woolen coat, and a gun as a weapon is the most attractive. HMPH, a group of ants dare to come to court death. Since you are courting death, then I will fulfill you. Enel watch herself being provocated by them. How can it be? And Shajirching didn't stop it, just watched. If you want to negotiate conditions with people like the Shandia family, you have to subdue them first. Enough deterrence by force can better negotiate conditions. 20 million volts. Thunderbird. Seeing Shajirching didn't stop him, Enel felt even more relieved. In the midst of the thunder and lightning, a huge thunderbird flew out from the thunder drum on Enel's shoulder, blasting all the warriors of the Shandia clan who rushed over. Not only that, the super strong thunder and lightning even overturned the earth, making the air roar. It only took a few seconds to go from being alive to dying now. They didn't even have time to let out a scream. And just when Enel was about to continue to attack, Shajirching spoke up. He looked at Weber and said, "Did you see, Weber, this is the difference in strength. Can you take the opportunity of Apahado Island from me? Insignificant." Quote. No matter how hard you try, in the face of absolute strength gap, you can't have any chance of winning. It's better to go down this step and do things for me. Anyway, I won't come here often. It's said to do things for me, but in fact, the owner of the entire Apayado Island will still be you. Shajirching is like a deceived businessman, his eyes are full of shrewdness. Impossible, Blue Sea people, I tell you, it's impossible, stop dreaming. Weber completely rejected Shajirching's kindness. Then I'm sorry, Apayado Island has nothing to do with you from now on. If you forcibly attack Apayado Island, wait for Enel's divine punishment. Shajirching's eyes instantly turned cold, making people shudder. Start a pair of writing wheels. Pirates, start with a pair of writing wheels. 38kanshu.com has the fastest update speed.